now that we looked at some applications of the quadratic functions, I want to take a step back and really think about what it means to be a quadratic. So a quadratic, like I said, has to have something with the x squared in it. That has to be the highest exponent. These things, a lot of times, we call them parabolas, the shape of the graph. And I'm just going to draw a sketch of them. They look like a U. And we also can have an upside down U. They're upside down when x squared has a negative in front of it. All of these graphs have an important point, and that's called the vertex. So the vertex of my graph up here on both of these is 0, 0. Now the vertex can really be anywhere in the graph, and that's what we're going to practice finding in just a second, is this vertex. It's a very important point to find. When we have a graph that opens up, the vertex here is called a minimum because it is the lowest point. When the graph opens downward, the vertex here is called a maximum because it's the top of the graph. So the vertex, it depends, half the time or some of the time it's the minimum and some of the time it's the maximum, just depending on the shape of the graph. So going back to that standard form I introduced us with, there's a formula to find the vertex. It's negative b over 2a, where b is that number in front of x and a is the number in front of x squared. And the vertex is a point, so that's the x point. And then for the y point, we plug that answer in. So I'm just going to kind of write that up in a few different ways. So remember, the vertex is the point x comma y. You find the x by using the formula negative b over 2a. And then you take that, and to find the y, you plug the answer into the equation. So that's why I say f of, because that means plug it back into f. I know I talked about the minimum and maximum up there, but I just want to point it out again. If a is positive, then our vertex opens up and we have a minimum. That's the first case. That's this one. If a is negative, then our our parabola opens down and we have a maximum. That's this case right here. Anytime we're asked to find the minimum and maximum of a problem, that's just the fancy way for saying find the vertex. You might not always be told to find the vertex. These first ones we are going to be told to find the vertex. The next ones I'm going to do, they're not going to say the word vertex, they're going to say minimum and maximum. And those are synonyms when we're dealing with quadratic functions, the things with x squared. So let's practice using that vertex formula down here below. So I've got this problem, A here. I'm just going to label what all my numbers are. A is the number in front of x squared, B is the number in front of x, and C is the number that doesn't have a variable. And that negative does come with it. So to find the x part of the vertex, it's negative b over 2a. So negative 12 over 2 times 2. So I get negative 3. Then I'm going to plug negative 3 into my equation. And I can just type that straight into my calculator, and that gives me negative 37. So my answer is the point negative 3, negative 37. That's the vertex. So I found the vertex. Then it says determine if the graph opens up or down. Where A is positive, so that means the graph opens up. And anytime we open up, it has a minimum. So that is the other part of the directions. All right, so go ahead and hit pause so that you can try B on this one. I'm going to go ahead and tell you because it doesn't really give anything away. In part B here, the number C is 0. We don't really need it right now, so I think that's okay to go ahead and give you that. You really just need A and B. All right, so go ahead and try that one, and then we'll go over it. All right, so coming back, our A is -1. There's not a number there. That's an invisible 1. 1 gets used more often than any other number, so we got tired of writing it, so it's the one that's invisible. B is 60. So x equals -b over 2a. So that's -60 over 2 times -1. And that's going to give me 30. Then I'm going to plug 30 back in to my equation. Now remember, that negative is on the outside because it's -x squared. So just the 30s being squared. So I did put the negative on the outside of those parentheses. That's really important. Typing that in my calculator, I get 900. So my vertex is at the point 30, 900. A is negative, so that means that our parabola opens down, and anytime it opens down, it has a maximum.